Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the Dancer Dies Twice. This is the podcast where we talk about all that itty gritty, weird, uncomfortable things that we don't really like to talk about as dancers, especially for working professional dancers. And I decided to create this space because I felt like it was a space that needed to be explored. Well, at least for myself, anyway. So I'm your host. I'm Chris Van Doren. I am a semi-retired professional dancer, if you want to call it that. But today I want to I should say interview. I've got a guest here who is a very special friend. He's super talented, to say the least. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Richie Miller, and I'll let him take over here and just give a brief background of your professional career. If you want to sort of just let the people know, man,
You.
a little bit about your professional background. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me. Um, I wouldn't say you're retired, bro. Say you're just beginning.
Ah,
Hey,
maybe.
you might feel it, but this dude's also an incredible dancer, so don't let him fool you. Um, so I'm from the States originally, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. And I grew up there doing dance class from 7 years old. I started with gymnastics. But it really took them to bribe me to get into a dance class. Um, I was terrified. I would just dance in my living room, watching Michael Jackson, watching
Mm,
anything that would make me move and shake, listening to music. Parents always listen to different types of music, rap, country, whatever it may be. I was always moving and dancing. So they're like, you need to get into dance class. Got into dance
mm,
class, and I don't think I peaked until I was about 15. Had that weird holding the thumb every time I dance and weird like arms and scarecrow vibes going on. But when I got to go to this dance convention in New York, um,
mm,
which I got to go on a plane kind of for the first time and fly and, you know, get this
mm,
experience of going elsewhere, out of my bubble, out of my comfort zone to explore myself. Because dance, you're exploring yourself. I got to be surrounded by all these sort of upcoming professional dancers at the time, which they're all professional now, but they were upcoming and
mm,
they were hungry for it, they were fighting for it, they loved it, they were obsessed with it, and they were doing this every year. They would go to New York to this same dance convention, and at this dance convention I saw, and from
mm,
there I was just like, okay, because at dance school it was just three, four, five other boys, and the rest were girls, but
right.
and back then it was a girly thing. All my friends were like, "Why are you dancing? Why are you dancing all the time?" Um, but this dance convention really opened my eyes to this other world of, I guess, masculinity. I don't really like to use
Mm,
that word, but I was at
yeah.
that age, very enticed by my surroundings. So looking at it like
Mm,
that and seeing other men, strong men and really talented men dancing,
mm,
it made me just go back and just be become very obsessed with dance. Um,
mm,
and there I just practiced. I started practicing at home because you can get stuck in just doing like dance class, and then whatever you're doing at home, you're doing at home. Maybe you're not dancing,
mm,
or maybe like for my case, I was at home running the streets with my friends, throwing rocks at cars, and you know, trying to be a bit of a gangster because St. Louis was, I actually lived in St. Charles, but still, people run the streets and lots of drugs and you know, enticing moments of do this, do that, and at the same time, I was dancing and doing sports, but only, like I said, when I was 15 and went to this dance convention, did I get back home and I was starting to dance outside of dance class and really take it to a new level. Anyways, fast
Right.
forward to 18, I got offered to do a show called Tap Dogs. Um,
Yeah.
there was one other guy in the show from my dance school. His mother was the dance school owner, and he'd been touring already, and he told her that there were auditions happening, just and they were just video submissions, and I never done even a
Yeah.
solo number like for competition, dance competitions and stuff. I was always like very scared to do solos, and you know
And this is at 15, right?
well, no, this is more around 17, 18 when I got approached with this.
Right. Okay.
But like
Okay.
throughout my whole like dance training, like I was terrified to do
Yeah.
it, let alone like perform, but like a solo, because we had to do dance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I did a few duets, did like some ensemble pieces, in the back.
Mm.
I made my way to the front eventually, but solos were, you know, a solo is a big part of like, the dance world. Like you have to be able to dance on your own, and not rely on anyone. I was stuck up relying on people, but I was good. I started getting,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
you know what I mean? Anyways,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I had to do this solo audition, and it was just a video submission. I've
Right.
never heard of Tap Dogs. I saw there was a poster in the dance school, but I didn't know
Mm.
what Tap Dogs was, and I'd
Right.
done a solo. So I had to do this submission, learning all this choreography from Tap Dogs, and yeah, there was one other guy that auditioned, but out of me and him, he didn't really want to do it. He was like my best friend at the time. He wanted to play music, and
Mm.
so it went to me. And from that moment, I was washing dishes, bro. I was in a restaurant washing dishes at the time, and I got a
Mm.
call from Dean Perry, who is the Australian master creator behind Tap Dogs, and
Yeah.
he called me, and it was the first time I think I've ever heard an Australian accent. He's like, mate, you made it in, and I'm like,
Yeah. Right.
so excited, like out by the dumpsters in the back of the restaurant, just like talking to him on the phone. And that
Uh-huh.
day, I walked back in, and I was like, guys, I quit. And I had, maybe 3 months until I went on tour, but I quit that day. I was so excited. I was like, I'm never working like this again. I'm never gonna be, a slave to this
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
again. And
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, and from there, I jumped straight in. We toured around the States, and then after
Yeah.
I toured pretty much all the States, we went to Mexico, had a bit of a break, and then they asked me to come to do the London stint in the West End. I was probably 19, and
Jeez.
Adam Garcia was starring in that. It's where I met
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the boys who I'm friends with now. I think
Yeah.
that's how I met you as well through that period, because we
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
we had to fly to Australia to do rehearsals. So it was my first time flying to Australia out of the
Yeah.
country, and we just flew there to rehearse for like 6 weeks, and then we went to London, straight to London, straight in, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Right.
it was mind blowing and leveling up my whole being, like uh, uh, from drinking
uh,
to performing to because in this you have to be 21 to drink. I get to London and it's 18, so I'm like running around like
Gotcha.
a like
Wait,
a
the hooligan, just the
just like a green
so
hooligan, bro.
oh, bro, tell me about it. But wait, there's a few things that you've just mentioned. I'll try to remember. But first up, so wait, you auditioned the Tap Dogs came to. Did they do like an audition like worldwide or like? when they came into, did they just come into your town, like select towns, or was it like we're trying to build this tap dogs, crew, and we're just looking for whoever can kind of fill that spot. Like how many were already there, and how long was it there already touring and stuff? Because I remember watching tap dogs when I was pretty young as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
man, like
so Tap Dog did,
that's like a pretty yeah.
yeah. No, no,
I
Tap.
was just gonna say. I mean, it. Yeah,
No, you go, bro.
I was just gonna say like it's like a really. I think. Um, I don't want to say like this phrase here, like one in a million, but like it sounds like it's the odds are odds. What would you say? Like the odds are pretty slim, or do you think? And this is kind of going back to the whole being a male dancer, being masculine, strong, and I feel like it's a quite like a it's a rarity, right? Do you feel like you got lucky? Do you think the odds were on your side, or you think it just is kind of like a collection of different things that just all came together in that moment, and you just took that chance and just ran with it, bro? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
like yeah.
I, I,
I'm trying to
I,
understand what the picture of the Tap Dogs was back then.
I wouldn't say luck. I would say that it was, you know, one big thing for that I realized through the professional world is that it's who you know. And like I said
Yeah.
before, fully
Yeah.
on, but because I was hungry. I was like I said, at 15, I went to
Yeah.
I came back and I was like working hard to like be the best that I could be at tap, and they all saw that,
Right.
or they wouldn't have offered me the audition. You know what I mean? But
Right. Right. Right.
the owner of my dance school, the son of the
Yeah.
owner, he was already in it, so he, there was the door there already. It was open, and
Mm.
because they have multiple casts.
Okay.
So they have an Australian cast, they have American cast, they have an English cast. So they were already doing
Mm-hmm.
shows in all these different countries, but using casts from the countries I just mentioned. So they need
Right.
they needed they just needed a new apprentice role, which was the name of the apprentice role is the kid. And
Right.
there's roles, and there was one who is like just learning the ropes, and that's his character the whole time. And they needed
Yeah.
someone
Yeah. Yeah.
who could tap,
Mm.
but look the part of a kid, and also look the part of a
Yeah.
bit naive and not really knowing, and kind of just following and being led by the older guys in the show, or the foreman, or the 2IC, whoever it was that was you know,
Mm.
directing this kid throughout the show at different moments in the show. Um, but yeah, I think knowing someone already in it, and like the school I went to was big on tap,
Mm.
so like they were just really good at training people with tap. There was many good tap dancers, and the guy, his younger brother,
Gotcha.
so the guy that was in Tap Dogs, his younger brother also auditioned,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, and he wanted to play music and become a musician. He was way better than me, bro. He would have made it tenfold, but you know,
Mm.
divine timing. Like for instance,
This is.
he grew up in the dance school. My best friend who auditioned at the time, or didn't audition, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he grew up in the dance school, so he'd been so good from a young age. So his fire
Right.
kind of went out by that time. He wasn't wanting to,
Yeah.
whereas
Right.
my fire came in. So there's that sort of give and take, and the pros and cons of dancing your whole entire life, and like really being good at something at a young age. If you're not
Yeah.
sort of attached to it, and
Yeah.
sort of obsessed with it so much, even when you get to that older age, you start to fizzle out
Yeah.
because yeah,
You know what I think it is personally. Do you know what I think it is? I reckon there's competition dancing, and then there's like dancing of like just like embracing and learning the art form and just the passion of just performing and all that sort of stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you think it might be has to do that when you get into that competitive like competition mindset? And you said earlier before that you hadn't even done a solo or whatever and things like that. Like I can kind of relate to you, bro. I never grew up competition dancing, and to be honest, I didn't want to compete with my dancing. It was like I did it because I loved it and it was fun, and I felt like competition kind of took that away from it. But I do see the positives in it too, because man, like, fast forward 15 years later, bro, I'm not confident at all as a solo dancer. I've always danced
Mm.
backup dancing. I've always had an opposite, bro. I've never been a solo dancer, man. So I look back and I go, had I done competition, I probably would feel more confident. But do you think it has to do with that, or is that just maybe me?
Um, yeah, bro. I think it has to do with him just living in a dance school his whole life. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
competition, doing like probably 10 classes a week. Whereas I only did probably like
Mm,
3 or 4 because that's all my mom could afford. And like the way that we did afford dance was us cleaning the dance school. So there
right.
there's you can already see the different sort of different relationship I had with dance compared to him.
Mm,
He was born into it. It was something that he was kind of pushed to do, not that he wanted to do. I got pushed in the beginning, but then I got
yeah.
pushed, like this is what I want to do. Um, but yeah, I think
Mm,
because I didn't experience that on stage, like having that on stage presence of, you know, performing alone or even a duet, or even just being at the
yeah.
front leading the group. I was
Mm,
never
mm,
that, but that progressed, that progressed
yeah.
through the professionalism. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that's a huge part is you know
And,
you can overdo something. It's like how many years is that? It's like 20 years almost that he
uh,
was dancing since he was like 2 years old. So it's
right, right. Um, like, bro, speaking about progression, man. And this is something, dude, that has completely just like watching you recently, man, has completely, I guess, made me rethink everything about the boundaries and limitations within like oneself or myself. I started to really question and doubt this, man. Is like how much you can actually grow as a dancer, like even in your later years. And I mean, the reason why I called this podcast The Dancer Dies Twice is because there was this lady, I can't remember who, but a few years ago, she was a retired dancer and she said that to me, man. And, she was like, I think
mm,
it's to do with the loss of identity because we've done this our whole lives. And I think the amount of energy and that feeling that you get to experience being on the stage, it's like there's nothing really I can compare it to, that close in life. It's hard for me to find that, and I think being so in love with that feeling for me personally, and going through a bit of a transitional phase right now within my own personal career, that saying popped up, right?
mm,
And relating this back to you, I had this idea that, well, I was always aware coming into like becoming into like the professional, um, dancing space that it wasn't going to last forever, right?
mm,
Performing as a dancer wasn't going to always be lasting forever. I always knew that there was going to be a time span on it. But I saw generations of dancers above older than me, and they used to say, I'm too old for this, my body hurts. And I would see them like commercial dancers retiring at 27, 28. And so in my mind, I start, and I'm a young cat at like what, 19, 20 or something. Just, I'm just like watching and learning from these. And I'm like, in my mind, I started to already have this idea that, oh, that's when you start to retire. You know what I mean?
mm.
And I think this is really important because of like who you listen to and what kind of like information you take in. Because I really feel like it shaped me, and it's conditioned me, and to I guess not grow further, but I sort of just assumed this is the end for me, and I've believed that for a very long time. I feel like I'm going a little bit of rant here, but my point, what I wanted to make out, was that you, bro, have completely just like, I don't even know like where to begin to even talk about like how you can evolve, progress, at the level that I've seen you do just recently, man. Because it's the equivalent of me now all of a sudden like becoming a tap dancer on like a professional level, bro. I did a bit of tap, man, when I was growing up, so it's like, yeah, I got some kind of a little bit of background, but I can't do it professionally, bro. But now you've gone from, I've known you from being a tap dog and, you know, being a gun at that, to now all of a sudden working this freestyle space, dude, and you're just like killing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
and that's blown my understanding of what like we can do as freaking dancers at this age. Because, bro, like, how old are you now? Like, well, how
32.
old are you? 32. Yeah. Freaking 32,
30,
bro. Like, and
36.
this has just happened like recent. This has happened recently, man. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not
Well,
even just like, I get it when you get older, you naturally start to lose that. I want to be careful with what I say here, but for me personally, I started to lose that and like high hitting dynamic, what do you call it, that exertion of energy, you know what I mean, that you can just like bounce, spring back up, and whatever you want to call it, dynamic energy, whatever that is. And I thought, other areas of my dancing was evolving, and I thought that's what evolves. But dude, your like athleticism and stuff is like on point too, of like, you know what I'm saying, of
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
of like dancers are like in their 20s. So I don't know, bro. Like I feel like I don't know anymore.
well, like you said, you identify with who you become, right? And for the longest, I identified with the tap dancer, But
Mm,
since I've been probably 17, I was always freestyling in my room, you know. I was that
yeah,
style dancer, but like I have old videos you can watch from day one that
yeah.
that like added in here, but um, yeah, it was I wasn't anywhere close to what I am now, but I did that throughout
mm,
my touring career, like because after Australia and London, I toured in many different countries up until for like 9 to 10 years, and on and off,
mm,
going in and out of breaks. But that whole time, I was doing my own thing for me in my room, like freestyling, and I was sharing little videos here and there, but not as much back then because Instagram wasn't what it was. But you know,
mm,
I I definitely didn't stop freestyling. There were periods where I would have a break, but I was slowly progressing. That's what I was more obsessed with when I was younger, was the hip hop aspect, the freestyle aspect. But I was too afraid to
mm,
put myself out there. Like I wanted to break dance and become a professional break dancer. So I was doing that at the same time as doing tap class, but I was doing it at home by myself. I didn't have someone actually like leading me in that. So it was hard to do it by myself. And in where I'm from, I didn't have any friends who danced. Like the people at dance school
mm,
danced, but they tap dance. They weren't like at home like having this street culture of dance and like freestyle, and like that was more in St. Louis, where I was in St. Charles. So I just wasn't connected to those little bubbles of that. So I was just on my own, and any chance that I got to be pushed into a circle somewhere, I was always just so scared. Um, but, moving to Australia, I eventually moved to Australia when I was 22, 23 or something. And I got my first
mm.
agent. And, I also trained in hip hop and ballet and partnering, pas de deux, jazz. Not as much, but I was I had to do those classes to do competition. I just
Yeah.
wanted to tap after a while, but I still like did like the version of ballet. They had men's ballet. It wasn't like, ballet
Uh,
all the girls. It was actually like a men's ballet class, and it was
Mm,
suited to our boyness, you know. Well, she was great at
mm,
it. The teacher and owner was so good at that. Thank you, Miss Tracy, Miss Debbie. Uh,
mm,
but when I got to Australia, you know, I got an agent with G management, and at that time there was
mm.
lots of diversity happening on TV, and like in gigs, they needed more color, per se, you know, and
Is
I
that yeah right?
and I had that, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
but I wasn't like classically trained in all those styles. I was really trained in tap dance more. So, but I kind of just like did what I could, man, because I was like, shit, I need to get these gigs. I need to make money. You know, it's this is so exciting. I have an agent. It's like, you know, but I
Uh,
didn't know how it worked, and I didn't really care either. I didn't care. I just put there. I actually got I was sitting with PJ at like his birthday with Jason Lewis, and PJ was just like, "Hey, someone's dropped out of this gig. You'd be perfect for it." And it was for Naomi
mm,
Campbell, the face. It was like this modeling thing, and like but
mm,
it was like they needed dancers for it, and it like right place at the right time, people who you know, right? And he was just like,
mm.
"You'd be perfect for that." He's like, would you do it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I didn't even have to audition or anything. It was just it was just there.
Yeah,
And once I did that, then
yeah.
he brought me in, and then I started getting TV commercials and all these random dance gigs. And I remember I did Marco's annual like workshop that he does for or he used to do for all the like Jeep new Jeep uh clients or whatever you
Oh,
the like the new
I
upcoming
know what
dancers
you're talking about.
that
Yeah,
were joining the agencies. He would host these
yeah.
mock audition type of workshops, and
Mm,
I remember he was like, "Man, you did like," because I just go in and I go 100%. I think that's a big aspect of how I have transitioned, and you've seen this transition, is I go 100% or I go 0%. There's not really any in between.
mm,
And in that workshop, I remember I
mm.
just went full force. I did what I had to do, and he at the end he was like, "Man, like you did way better than a lot of these people, like these people who have been training their whole life to get here." I'm like, it's because I don't care. I don't care
You
what you
know,
think.
you know what,
Yeah.
man? I just remembered about like my kind of way of coming into the industry too in Australia, and you mentioned Marco, and I just remembered, dude, like I remember he kind of held this space for me to sort of have that opportunity to be seen. I
Mm.
remember that, man. Like I remember that moment where he was kind of like, "All right," and when you're younger, you don't know, like, because you're just like, there's so much happening, right? And you're just like, yes, yes, yes. You're like, you're just kind of just doing it, but yeah, bro. I remember like this moment when he kind of was like, just was like, would have picked me out in class or something like that. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just remember sort of like that was like the big shift, man, in that shift in that moment. So, I feel like there are people out there that I personally owe a lot to, and I know you keep saying that it's about who you know, which I really do feel like it's very true. In saying that too, though, I feel that you got to have the goods to even for you to even be on their radar. You know what I mean? So like, I guess like for these like young kids who are trying to break into the industry, I think they hear it all the time. It's who you know. It's who you know. It's right. But like, I think yeah, it's probably like
Well, it's not
self-explanatory, but
solely on that. You have to have.
hey,
It's not solely
you
based.
got it right. Yeah,
It's a little aspect, and in my case, I've always
yeah,
been in the right place at the right time for these. But I also work very hard. I work
yeah,
hard, and
yeah, 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 yeah,
I become obsessed with things. But like some people would perceive it as unhealthy. But in my energy and my the way that I work, my obsession is just
yeah.
how how I'm designed. It's like how I become good at
Mm-hmm.
things. Because if you're obsessed with something, you don't have to necessarily like train. It doesn't be. It's not training anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like you doing. It's like it's just you. It becomes you. Like and and like I said,
Mm.
I didn't care, but I also didn't understand how all of it worked. I was just kind of like pushed over there, do this, do that, and
Mm.
then you start to figure out how it all works, and you start to see what it actually is. That's a whole nother level, you know. It, but let's
Well, that,
topic right now. We'll get there, but you know, I
yeah.
would say that you I look at it like an ocean. There's many fish in the ocean, but you have your own avenue, and you have your own uh, sort of insights and way to explore, and you have your own way of swimming, right? A lot of people are trying to be like other people, and like I never really tried to
Mm.
be like other people. I just like to watch other people and take what I thought would
Mm.
benefit me, and then I make it my own. And that's a big thing in dance.
Yeah.
It's like people would say, "Oh, you ripped my step, you ripped my step." It's like no, you take, and it's not just steps. It's energy. It's perspective.
Mm.
It's mannerisms. It's how does this person
Mm-hmm.
talk? You know, how does this person walk? How does this person even look? You know, and you
Yeah.
see what works and you see what doesn't work. You see who's getting gigs and who's not based on what the dynamic is. You know what I mean? And I just have a example. I'm not going to name any names, but my ex partner. I I was just new to Australia and getting gigs straight away, getting like big TV commercials for like big amounts of money. She'd been in full time. She went to full time, like multiple full times, and I had never even heard
Mm.
of full time. I didn't even know what that was. I just came straight from
Right.
dance school to a show to
Yeah,
now
yeah,
like
yeah.
into an agency. People's downfall is them comparing to
Mm.
other people. You start
Mm.
comparing and thinking, oh, this person's doing this, so that means I should be getting this. I should be doing this. And you become in this perpetual loop of trying to do
Yeah.
what someone else is doing versus just staying in your lane and understanding and comprehending that. For instance, for her, she was,
Mm-hmm.
white girl with brown hair and not too tall, right? There's a lot of those girls going to auditions. There's a lot, a lot. I'm like a mixed
Yeah, yeah,
guy,
yeah.
curly
I
hair,
get it.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's not a lot of those guys in Australia, like
No, exactly.
so.
I get it, bro.
Yeah.
But some people don't get this, right? Like
Mm.
some people don't understand that there is the business aspect to all of this. And it's unfortunate because there's so many freaking talented people. And, and I can only speak for the Australian industry because I only know the Australian industry. But man, we've got like no work. You know what I mean? Like we've got very little work happening from my understanding of, of what there is, when you hear people talk about the abundance of work overseas and then you can just even know it from like from the gigs that like we've been doing in the past as well. And yeah, we've been lucky and fortunate enough to sort of like get into these positions. But I 100% know that it's because there is a business end to it. Like you said, your ex, she was this high brunette. Like there's so many girls like that. You know what I mean? I'm kind of sort of mixed, Asian looking guy, and I got it. I was like, all right, I don't look 100% like many others. I'm a guy too, so I think it's like learning to sort of work with your differences. But imagine, bro, there was like the competition was the same for us as it is the girls. Imagine there was like, you know, 100 times what the same, people that look like you and me going for it, man. Do you know what I mean? So I've always thought about like
Well,
how tough it would be for females, bro. And yeah, dude, like I think we get lucky. We got really lucky. I don't want to say luck, but I think we're in a space where I don't know why. This is the thing, bro. Why is there not more of like, I don't want to say us, like I don't want to sort of like name, a particular type of dancer here, but it's like you said in the very beginning, it's like, just like embracing masculine, strong, dancing men. Like I don't think there's a whole lot of it out there, and I wonder why. Like, you know what I mean? Do you ever wonder like why? Like I thought we've come quite far in this world today to sort of like it's cool, bro. Like for a guy to dance, I can't like it's crazy that we're still here. And I'm gonna put it into perspective, man. I graduated high school in 2006, right? And I created a boys dance group there, right? Yonks ago now, or however many years ago that was. I caught up with my high school dance teacher last year, and she goes, Chris, since you left high school, there's never been a boys' dance group. And I've gone, what? Like, this is a sports excellence school. And, bro, immediately, dude, I just was like, I felt so distraught, upset. I started to question a lot. And I was like, why? Like, I
Mm.
don't get it. You know what I mean? And it was really upsetting for me. Uh, Do you like? Have you ever thought about that, bro? Like,
Yeah.
why
Uh,
there isn't
I,
that many male dancers? Like, sorry,
well,
not male
I guess
dancers, but like masculine. Masculine. I don't know if that's even the right word.
I think I
Straight
think
male dancers.
I think things shift, man, and things are always changing. And
I shouldn't say straight male because you can be whatever you are, and you can still be masculine. You know what
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
in your craft. So,
I
yeah.
think to be honest, like the whole dance industry oversaturated with dancers and not enough gigs, right? Uh, I feel like
Mm,
there hasn't been many, like for instance, Tap Dogs was this very masculine macho show that was created
mm,
to draw in masculine macho sort of tap dancers, and it did for a while,
mm.
but things get outdated and they change.
Evolve.
But
Right? Mm,
there hasn't been anything, I guess, of that nature. Like you did Magic Mike and stuff, and that had lots of masculine big men. But that was that. But it's a different type of, I guess, essence to what
Style.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I believe that you lose interest from kids when there's not enough
Mm.
jobs for them to necessarily get into, right? And for instance, just
Jobs. Mm.
like tap alone, for instance, there's two
Yeah,
tap shops
yeah.
in Australia, Tap Dogs
Mm.
and Tap Hot Shoe Shuffle, maybe.
But what about inspiration though? Like you said MJ, right? Because he was my inspiration. But I feel like
Well,
these days you've got like people like Chris Brown as well. Like there's a lot
well,
of dancing
this is
still
yeah, but
happening, you know?
this is where we get into the whole digital age and people being on their phones too much. They can see too much of it, which then desensitizes them and makes them less interested, if that makes sense. Whereas back in the
Do,
day, I was watching Michael Jackson at a limited sort of capacity. It wasn't like every single day I'm watching, and I didn't have YouTube. It was like whenever MJ was on TV, it was
yeah.
like, holy, MJ's on, boom, or this song's on, and you don't really get to listen to it every day. Now you have Spotify, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, and you can listen and watch and do all these things all day, every day. So you become
Do
less interested because it's kind of like we were talking about with my friend who danced. He became less interested because he was doing it every day, all day. I wasn't doing it like that. I was going to dance. I was going to sports. I was going to bowling. I was on the streets, running the streets with my friends, trying to be a gangster and fighting. Like it, I
you
didn't.
reckon the focus has shifted?
The focus
I
is
reckon
definitely.
I reckon there's a lot of it's shifted, right? Because we were, yeah, you're right. We just wanted to get, I mean, for me, anyways, I just wanted to, like, I remember being inspired and seeing these dancers on television, whether if it was, backup dancing for Britney Spears or whatever the heck it was, or seeing MJ, it was like, man, like, I want to get up on there, you know what I mean? Like, how do I get there kind of thing? But nowadays, you're right, we've got social media and how could you not think, how do I get into that space, as a dancer? Like, you would naturally, right? And I feel like now that whole dance class space as well has, and this is not a bad thing, by the way, but I
Oh, it's
think,
changing. It's just changing. There's new patterns that are being created.
but that still doesn't explain, why there is so little male. Sorry, I keep saying male, but yeah,
Well,
even male dancers,
always
bro.
been
Like, why?
always been little
There's
male
always
dancers. There's always been like I said, like there's dance schools
just
who only
yeah.
have one boy, and like I remember that from growing. Like there were dance schools who only had, like one boy that we would compete against. The rest were girls. One boy.
Did you ever get bullied, bro, in school for dancing?
I didn't really get bullied to the point where like it was like making me like want to quit dance. My friends would just be like, "Why are you dancing all the time? Why?" Like he's like, "Man, just cut." Like they just want me
Yeah,
to hang
right.
out. Man, I'm dancing with a bunch of girls, man. Like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm around
Mm,
those. That was the what it was we were into then. But I really believe that because we can see whatever we want to see at whatever time we want to see it,
mm,
like even you lose interest. Like even me now, like I can watch the most magnificent, like people send me videos all the time of like incredible dances, and I go, yeah, that's cool, but they did this there. It's
yeah.
played effect on me as well. Like there's like I'm desensitized to it because I can see. I've been watching dance videos for my entire life, and that's that's
Yeah.
that's the border. That's the fine line with technology, and like the fact that we have a supercomputer in our hands at all hours of the day is that look at TikTok. You like TikTok dancing. Just people learning a
Mm,
bit of choreography has become more phenomenal than like classical ballet and like all these old art forms that are so beautiful and have created the backbone of dance almost. You have people
mm,
viewing the little TikTok little excerpts more than these, you know, beautiful pieces out there. Not saying that no one appreciates them, but
yeah.
we've become desensitized. We become uh
I think it's our attention span, bro.
our attention
We've just
span
it's
is
like it's
how
like
long we can watch for, but like I'm just saying
mm,
if I showed you an image of a bird every day for a year, like are you gonna like in that first time you look at that image of the bird, maybe you're like, holy crap, it's so beautiful, it's like the colors, but by the end of the year you're probably not gonna have that same perspective on it. You're gonna be like, oh, I've seen this a million
no,
times.
I get that, but then that's where it evolves, right? And this is what I'm saying. Do you remember when we, bro? This is crazy, even me talking in this way. But when we were growing up, I remember like going to like learn class, and 4 lots of 8 of choreography was like insane. It was like a lot. And nowadays, people are doing like what 16 lots of 8 or something like that, man. It's like the rate of information is like getting passed on, and people are just learning so much more at a rapid rate. And I feel like dance just keep evolving, and I feel like that is a good thing. I mean, that is a positive thing, right? Like that it is constantly changing and evolving. But I feel like I don't know, bro. I sound old right now. I'm finding it hard to keep up, and there's just I don't want to say it's overwhelming, but I you know I kind of miss. I feel like I need to get back in touch with the thing that really made me fall in love with dance, and I think I'm kind of like going back into talking about the industry, but I think sometimes the industry can like sometimes take away that like love what it did for me, you know. It's just sucked it. Like I had so much to give, and I feel like I only got as far as I did because I had so much to give, you know, and I loved it, and I still do love it. But it was like, bro, like, oh, man, I wish, you know, I wish there's some other way, there's some other kind of like way that dancers could, you know, sort of, man, like live without having to live the way that we are.
Mm,
And I hope it changes, bro. Like I really hope it changes. Look at musicians. I think they've gone through strikes and they've stood up, you know, in the past. Actors have stood up in the past. Have I don't know if dancers have, to be honest, but man, like we're at the bottom of the barrel, and like why? And bro, after 10, 20 years, after 10 years of being in the industry and seeing the pay going down, it makes no sense. Inflation's going up. Everyone else is, you know, we're on these big production shows, man, and people are like, how is it? I had generations of dancers older than me who retired, and they said, back in my day, when I did a corporate gig, they were getting like $1,000 or $800 or something like that, right?
mm.
What the hell is going on? Like, we're busting our balls off, and like, I don't want to sound negative, but that's the reality, at least for it is for in Australia. Like, and you know, that's the reality. And I get it that we do this because we love it, right? We do it because we love it, but it's like, I, I kind of feel like we're kind of being taken advantage of a bit, and we have been for a while. And, you know, it's painful, bro. It's
Mm.
freaking painful, and it makes me upset. It makes me upset, pissed off, mad, all these emotions. And I wish there's kind of some other way, you know, around not having to bust our balls off for peanuts, you know, so to speak. I shouldn't, you know, I'm afraid to talk about these things, man. My whole entire career, it's just I feel like there's a lot of things that like it's hard to talk about, you know.
Mm.
Um, and I'm not trying to be ungrateful here. Like I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful because I'm really really fortunate to have had all of the experiences that I've had. Um, but this is definitely an area that is very touchy. It's taboo. We can't talk about it, right? Like we can't talk about it, right? When you're a dancer in the industry, you can't talk
Well,
about
everyone
this stuff.
does talk about it, but they talk about it behind closed doors. You know, talking about it to the right people that could potentially help change the dynamic that you and others feel. Um, I would say though, you know, when you compare, for instance, say we did a gig for 5 minutes, you get $300. You know, that's
Mm,
pretty good. That's pretty good, right? Um, that's what I've been used to doing, like little random gigs here and there. Like, you know, I'll do a 5 minute number, but I'm also doing a couple days rehearsal, and you know, then you
mm.
go, okay, that's not really worth it. But then I come from the States, so like, you know, people make literally $5 an hour, $7 an hour waiting tables, and then they rely on
Right,
tips. um I think
right.
if there were, you know, more of like a salary based, you know, essence to the gig life, whereas we just
Mm,
get gigs and we get them randomly, so we don't have this steady income, right? So we feel therefore a lack
yeah.
of. But say we were doing two to three of those gigs a week because there was like some type of salary based roster that like was created, and like, you know, when you do hire dancers, it has to come from this like contractual type of uh level, whereas now if
Mm,
you don't have an agent, you know, it's just you getting a gig, and you do that gig, and then it's like, where's the, okay, now we got to find the next gig. And the same goes for musicians, the same for actors. Um, But what I did notice doing all the TV commercials and whatnot, like, if you get a hero role, you're gonna get paid the big bucks. If you get an ensemble role, you get paid less than. If you have a speaking role and you
Mm.
speak, you get paid even more. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's like oil and water. They don't mix. And like the nature of why we dance
Mm. Yeah.
is because it makes us feel good and we love it. But because we have to make
Mm.
money through it, it becomes the oil and water effect, and it really doesn't mix. And you have to find where you.
Yeah.
And this is why so many dancers are seeking those long-term contracts so they can get that steady flow of income. Um, but it's, I guess, I don't know what it's
Yeah.
dance
And then
school
you break your
here
back.
and full time and stuff, but I don't think I was
Yeah.
ever educated even on getting gigs, bro. Like as in dance school, like I wasn't educated on
You.
the fact that hey, once you become a professional dancer or a musician or whatever, you're gonna have to struggle to
Mm.
find gigs, and like it's gonna be gig to gig to gig to gig to gig, and then in between
Yeah.
you have to teach dance. I think maybe if there was more
Yeah.
education on that, there would be more understanding of how it all works versus just people just chucked in and like, hey, you're gonna pay for this amount of years at dance school. Yeah, we'll prepare you on how to do an audition and whatnot, but we're not gonna properly educate you
Mm.
on hey, like, there's no gigs, there's no gigs, and if there are gigs, like you're fighting for these gigs from in a big old group of people, and when you do get the gig, if that person doesn't want to hire you again, then you got to find the next person that's going to hire you for a gig. And you know, there's this gray area when it the gig life that yeah, like no one really gets to talk about because we all just want to get the gig, and when we get the gig, we just got to be happy and grateful that we got the gig. So um, it's tricky. It's very tricky, but the musicians go through it. The like actors are going through it, and like you said, they strike. Whereas like maybe if dancers did stand up and go like, "Hey, we're not gonna you know be the workhorse that you want us to be anymore until
Oh,
but
bro.
that takes a lot of courage and like confidence and like
Ca-
yeah.
It's so hard, bro. It's so hard because it's like it's I don't know, man. It's far out. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's tough, bro. It's a tough life. Like you said, people end up going down, you know, trying to find a little bit more stability doing what they love to do, and typically that becomes contract work and stuff like that. And I don't know about you, bro, but like I'm not a fan of like over repetition, 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 man.
Yeah, burn out.
I struggle with it. I struggle with it mentally. I kind of get like this crazy. I almost like have this out of body experience, man. Whenever I've done a contract, I don't feel like I'm there, dude. It's crazy. I'm just kind of like a cog in the wheel of this show, whatever it is, and I'm just going through the motions. It's just I don't know. For me, it was frightening. It has been frightening. Um, but what I want to try to say is that, like, yeah, I think, like, me, well, let's like, you start gigging, okay? So people like you and I, we start gigging and we go, all right, now we've been training for a long time. We've now gotten good at this, our craft. Work is starting to get good. We're picking up work. We're generating work now. Great, great, great. And you start doing this for a little while, and then, maybe, we learn that it's not like, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's not like it's not consistent. It's not
Sustain.
sustainable. You know, it's not sustainable, and like I end up going down a bit more of a sustainable path, which is contracts, and then no, I freaking no, I tore my back, man. Tore my disc in my back, and I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I never experienced something so cold in my life. It was like I'm not going to mention names, bro, but like, here I am thinking, well, I've kind of been here for like 10 years, man. I know these people. And I was like, I thought there would be a little bit more, some kind of, not compassion or just the response I got, man, when I felt like I was useless was cold. And I went, that's when I learned, I was like, this is business to the T, right? I felt like now that I was useless and I didn't have any worth, that was it, bro, for me. And I just saw a different side to it, and I went, whoa, this is all right. I was like, okay. I was a surprise. I was like, you caught me by surprise. I was like, I get it now. I get it now. I was like, but um, maybe I'm kind of just speaking my own story for maybe anyone else that's out there, or just kind of shining a little bit of light on this, because for me, I don't know, man. It's a weird place where I stand now with this serious injury, bro. Like I just had a talk with the doctor recently, and 50-50 chance of spinal fusion in the future. Now, it's changed the whole quality of my life, and I freaking love dance, and I want to get back on it. But it's like after I did that injury, I was like, no show is worth me putting myself that much on the line where I'm going to struggle to walk for the rest of my life and be in pain 24/7. Um, but then now that I'm coming back into it and I want to come back into it, then I can't see any other way but to just give it freaking everything. You know what I mean? And sort of take a risk and put like I can't find myself. It's so painful for me to be this 50% dancer and going being safe, and I had this conversation with other injured dancers as well, sort of like kind of getting back into the game from a pretty serious injury. And some of them have said that they've learned to be a safe dancer, but it's these are the mental, emotional, physical struggles that I'm going through right now, trying to get back in, bro. And like my spirit, everything is telling me yes, man. But I've got limitations with my body, man. And that was a bit of a rant here, right now that I just went on. But
Yeah, bro.
yeah,
Well,
it's you're not really supported. I didn't feel supported at all, man. Like
yeah,
when I thought I might be, but and that's the whole identity thing, bro, as
bro.
well. Once I was couldn't dance, I was like, who the heck am I? I think there's so much. I feel like we familiarize ourselves with the connection with our body and our response to music and people with this kinesthetic fucking this feeling that we have, and to be disconnected from that as well was just like going through this weird period of like, who the hell am I kind of thing, right? Which I know we're not just dancers, but in a professional setting too, we all go through it. Like what you've gone through, are you going through this right now? This transitional process of figuring out, exploring, and finding who you are, outside of dance now in this in the business social space, that kind of stuff. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's talk about it. And that goes back to your, original question a few questions ago about me transitioning. But, you know, this industry is what it is. It's an industry. It's business. It's pure business, and
Yeah,
we
it
are
is.
workhorse. When you get an agent, you're a catalog of who can do what and what you can do. How many of us have relationships with the clients and the people we've done gigs for? As soon as during the
Mm.
gig, you're the best person ever. After the gig, it's money, 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 right? Um, I've done gigs where I've had to chase money up, and they've oversent me money. Like they've paid me twice, and before they paid me, there was no sign of it. They don't reach out to you and go, hey, send your invoice. This is what you need to do. I've like, I chase them. I get paid. Like I said, double paid, and then they're like, "Hey, we've overpaid you." Like then their eagerness to like get in touch with me is there. So I've noticed that a
Oh, I see
lot
what
of
you're saying. Yeah, right.
does that make sense? The eagerness
Yeah, it's
is always
business.
around the
It's
money,
business.
or
It's
or
business.
before like, hey, you better make it here on
Mm,
time because we need to get our commercial going. We need it to be on time. We need you know they want everything to a T. Why? And for instance, the commercial world, the TVC world, you are advertising products, you know. But that's going off topic.
mm,
Um, I think a big aspect of what you're talking about, this injury sort of side of things, is that when someone goes and watches a show, all they see from the audience perspective is the show. They don't see anything that happens
mm,
when you walk off the stage or what you do after
mm-hmm,
the show.
mm.
And a lot of times,
Yeah.
there's people walking off either spewing, rolled an ankle, uh,
Mm,
you know, maybe even broken a bone, whatever it may be. They're sick that day and they have to still do the show. The audience only
mm,
see what we give them. And that doesn't create a space around the rehabilitation or that there is this other side of a show. We just the audience just gets sold tickets and we watch the show for entertainment purposes, but there's nothing that ever shows behind the curtains. So there's no awareness around,
mm,
hey, this this person may actually be, not feeling good that day. And that goes to the
mm,
saying, that old saying, the show must go on, That's that
mm-hmm.
that's not just a saying. It's like that's
That's
what the industry
showbiz.
is. It's show business, and like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you're feeling shit that day. You're going on stage
Mm,
if you can do it. And that
yeah,
dynamic
yeah, yeah.
is has its place, but it's not. There's not much education around it because yeah, why injure yourself to the point where you may never be able to dance again just for that one show? And there's so many people, and
Mm,
even myself, who have been pushed to fucking stomp my feet as hard as I possibly can, just to make the show
mm,
look good. Not thinking, hey, what's this going to do to
mm,
my body in the long run? There's no education or you know preparedness on that. Yeah, you might be told to roll out your muscles and stretch and whatnot, but still, even then, I don't think it's a functional way of you know preparing your body. It's just something we do. It's something we're taught to do. It's a habitual pattern that is like, just stretch, just warm up your body. It's like, well, no, there's wear and tear that happens, especially when you're on a contract doing it, doing shows, 8 shows a week, and then you only get one day off. Two on a Saturday, two on a Sunday, and 3 to
yeah.
4 shows in your case a day. um,
It,
when I joined Tap Dogs, from the outside, as that audience perspective, as the outside sort of looking in from the outside, and then when I got on the inside, out from the outside, I was like, wow, this is a dope show. I can't wait to be in it. Once I saw what it was, then I got into it, and like I opened the door and I'm like looking from the back now to the front, like on stage, behind the
mm,
curtains, after the show, the drugs, the alcohol, and this goes for all shows: the drugs, the alcohol, the partying, the aches and the pains, the
mm,
8 shows a week, 1 day off, and if the swing's down, then you don't get a break. Like I remember even there was had to like really sort of push to get massage and physio. Like
yeah.
if you're gonna have a show, and that there's a contract that people are gonna sign, and they're gonna detriment their entire being, their state of mind, their emotional, their spiritual, their physical, just to keep the show going so that the people make the money or entertain the people. There needs to be a full recovery sort of sector involved in those shows, that people
Mm,
can rehabilitate themselves as they go. They can keep their body at a place, uh, at a standard, to keep the show going, not just do your own
Mm.
stretching, your own time. Like look at any sports team, or they have a traveling physio, they have ice baths every after every show. They have the right people and the right team to keep them going. And I think there
Yeah.
is a lack, and there isn't that for a lot of different shows and the industry itself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
And
I
there's
also did
definitely, I think, yeah.
I was gonna
What's
say
that?
I also did injure my back in one show, and yeah, it was just I just got an X-ray and that was it. There was no like, let's try to figure this out. Let's try to, and like still today, my back is cooked, very cooked. But
Yeah.
I just make it work. I didn't get any sort of diagnosis, and some days I wake up and like I can barely bend over. Some days I'm good. I just do my own self
Mm.
rehabilitation and like you know really focus on changing old patterns and habits. Yeah,
Can I, I'm gonna say something right now. Um, I'm so with you, bro, with all of that. Yeah, you're right. Like, I feel like there isn't enough support. And, I've even gone through the whole insurance route as well. And yeah, I'm noticing how much, like, if you're a dancer and whatnot, it's insurance is tricky sometimes as well. And there's just, yeah, we're in that weird area, man. And we give our freaking every ounce of our being to this art form, to this industry. And I do agree, bro. We definitely could somehow get a bit more support. And I guess what I just started to remember was, like, I feel like there've been a couple of times movements that were sort of, remember how the whole hashtag pay the dancers thing
yeah.
that was kind of happening. I don't know what happened from that, to be honest, but I remember like being a working professional dancer. It was kind of like I was like this, bro. I was a bit like, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm blessed and I'm happy, and I don't want to, like, shake any boat. I don't want to rock any boats here. How crazy is that? Even though I was like, that maybe I can only speak for myself, but it's scary, bro. I was like, oh, I'm happy that this is happening, but at the same time too, I was like, kind of, I didn't want to sort of like piss anyone off, man. To be honest,
Mm.
like that's kind of how it was for me, anyways. But I'm gonna dig up a story, man. This is really old story, so I think I'm kind of safe to sort of talk about it. Uh, but bro, there was a moment we were this close. I don't know if it was this close, but there was a moment in time, believe it or not, where us professional commercial dancers were doing a live television show, and we felt very passionate. We understood what it's like to be at this caliber and to only be sort of like kind of like living and working within our means. And we were super close of I don't know, I shouldn't say super close, but we were talking about having a strike, man. And sometimes I wonder, in an alternate universe, man, what would have happened? Because we got scared, bro. We one as soon as one person got scared, kind of just fizzled out, and it didn't happen anymore, man. But I often
Mm.
do wonder, like, a world, what would have happened? If that kind of thing maybe did happen. Maybe, do you think that's the type of thing that needs to happen for dancers? Is to go down this path of like going, enough is enough, man. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Because I feel like every other industry in that they it seems as though that's their way of being able to sort of guess create some kind of change. And yeah,
I think with
I
any
don't know
movement,
if
if there's enough people to make shifts and make waves,
mm,
then I think there's potential. And
yeah,
it sucks because the older people, they're already moving out of it. the people in the older people in the industry like us, we're
Yeah.
not so like eager and
Yep.
brand to it. We're kind of moving out of it. And how many dancers do we know who have like switched professions and like gotten different jobs and do this and that now? Whereas you got the younger kids coming up through full time and whatnot, so they're just eager to get any gig. They don't care, and that's where we were. So there's this perpetual
Yeah.
loop of like the beginning, you're
Yeah.
wide. It doesn't matter. So I'm not gonna fight. I'm happy to
Yeah.
do a gig, and then you get to the older stage, and you like gone
You're
through
so
the ring,
right.
and you're looking down now, going, "Dang, I wish now
Yes.
I would have said something or
Yeah.
whatnot." But I think it would take a lot of the older generation to really make those shifts and make waves. But maybe they're so settled now in what they do after that it's not a thing to them anymore because they're so far out of it. Um, but when it comes to
Totally
like
get it.
three, the movie world, the gig life, dancing on The Voice or at the Super Bowl, or those are totally different from dancing at the wedding or the bar mitzvah or the uh,
Yeah.
random little gigs that you get. And those bigger gigs
Yeah.
are very attached to the machine, the the bigger picture, because this is
Mm.
we a lot of these advertisements that we may advertise for in the TV commercials
Mm.
are for big corporations, right? Those corporations are making
Mm.
billions, millions, billions of dollars a year. Some of the really big
Mm.
ones, like the Apples and the Samsungs and
Right.
whatnot. And like when you look at a $3,000 TV commercial, you're like, "Holy crap, that's great!" But when you look at how much money they're actually making the every year, you go, what the hell? That's nothing. Um, so
Mm.
you're fighting. It's almost like you're fighting something that's not even there. Almost like so you'd be standing
Right.
up. Yeah, you would. It's like who would be actually asking to give us more money, because each the way that it works is that these gigs that we get, or TV commercials or shows, they're all different people that are running them. So they're not connected to the next person or the next person or the next client or the next,
Mm.
whereas maybe, there's like unions and stuff. But I think,
That's
I
what I was
think,
about to say. Yeah.
yeah,
I think we just need to create a better standard, a base standard, and I think that's what what's happening right now in Australia is just for this like little space for professional dancers is like to create you know a better standard, when it comes to these corporate jobs and these gigs that we're talking about right now, including the one-off little gigs. But I get it, it's they're not really the issues. I think but yeah, I don't know what's happening. I was kind of like sort of involved in the very beginning of it because I felt like I had a lot to share from my personal experience of like, this is kind of how it has been, just to contribute and help whatever way I could. But I haven't been actively involved with them for a while now. But I think I'm most likely going to touch base with them probably soon. I don't know, sometime soon, bro, to find out a little bit more about it because I think I want to work alongside them with the platform that I'm building at the moment. So it's like, hey, let's create this better standard. And if there is anyone who wants to kind of go out on their own and start working, you can be kind of covered and protected by this union here. And that way you're assured that no one's going to be kind of, lowballing or anything like that. You know what I mean? Kind of type thing. Um, I don't know, bro. Like, but right now, um, yeah, I, I think I do hear what you're saying as well. That's like, who are you really sort of like, well, I don't know, but even what about like even like freaking what about even like like theater shows and stuff like that too, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well,
There's a lot of different avenues of dance. You know, it's not
yeah,
just
yeah.
commercials. It's like
Well,
television. It's
the
in
theater show
films.
as well.
It's the yeah like
It comes from this old school name. Like it comes from like the past. Like it hasn't really
mm,
evolved into what the world is changing into now. Um, so
right.
yeah, you join a theater show. You live. How many of the theater shows are from the past? You know what I mean? You're living in the past, like
Mm,
a chorus line, hot shoe shuffle. Like
mm,
Cats. You know, all these shows are so old. You know,
mm,
they come from the era where it's like,
yeah.
you know, you whereas like for instance, you do Magic Mike. That's a newer show. You know, I would say you got paid pretty decent
Mm,
on that. Everyone I talked to got paid pretty good, but what you were having to do to your
um.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like to kiss and tell. No, no. It was like we were paid pretty. We were paid well, but we did work a lot as well. I had
Yeah,
to
you
push
work
myself
for it.
to an entire new way of trying to be able to get my body through, man, and even just like the physical aspect of trying to like diet and go to gym aside and all that kind of stuff. It all kind of adds to it. Um, yeah, 100%. There isn't really a space to really talk about, this stuff. So you know it. Well, you know the Australian industry. Um, you know, what do you think would be like just an absolute gold nugget? That for anyone that's coming through, or perhaps even someone who's already in it right now. Um,
Yeah.
that just might, yeah, not see
I
it
would
the way that
say
you
I would
have.
say for any gigs that you're going for, whether that's through an agent, a theater show, a TV commercial, a movie, just remember that from the eyes of the people hiring you, you are a product. It is business, and
Mm,
throughout your journey doing these gigs as a business, never lose sight
mm-hmm,
of why you're doing it for you and how it makes you feel, because all of it could end tomorrow and everyone is replaceable. So,
mm-hmm,
and that's been my biggest reason of being able to shift into freestyle and do it for me. Now I'm doing it for me. I'm not
mm,
doing it for anybody else. And you can get solely stuck in for doing these gigs and everything to impress other people. Just remember to always do it for you. And the business thing is extra. It's outside of who you are. It's outside of why you're truly doing it. Um, and take care of your body. Like if it doesn't suit
mm,
you, and you know you think, hey, if I keep going with this, I'm gonna injure myself. Take that stand, and you're not weak if you choose not to do it. Like
mm,
do what's
mm,
best for
mm,
you.
mm, mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. And what about for people who are transitioning? When we're talking about just the identity of like a dancer, do you have any kind of like last sort of summarizing insight, that you want to talk about this particular thing, or do you feel like you're still figuring it out right now and you're in it,
Um,
or have you
so like,
found this sort of like,
yeah, like I said, I've been freestyling my whole life as well, parallel to my tap dance and professional dance career. I just never really
mm,
put it out in the open. Um, but it didn't start where I am now. It progressed. I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and but I was obsessed with dance freestyle. I was just like I I think when you become obsessed with something, it's not hard to do, right? So obviously the pandemic shifted a lot of things when it came to the industry, and I was doing a TV show at that time called Wakefield. I was, we just finished some like a Tap Dogs tour, and then the whole industry just kind of went into topsy turvy, and you had all these requirements and need to do this and need to do that. We were getting locked down. You needed to wear this, doing all this stuff, and a lot of it I didn't agree with. So, and I also started getting offered to do like McDonald's commercials and stuff like that. And I just don't, I really started to see what I was advertising, and I don't eat that stuff. So I was starting to realize, hey, I'm, you know, I'm in this big machine doing and advertising, coding things that I don't agree with, and it just woke me up to the fact that, hey, you don't have to be doing this to be a
Mm,
dancer, to feel good dancing. My identity was, yeah, I have an agent, and like I get commercials and I get TV shows and I get this. I have an agent, I'm this,
yeah.
dancer with an agent, and I
Mm,
was walking in that life, but that wasn't me. And like I said, the pandemic shifted
mm,
a lot of things, and I was living in Sydney at the time, and it started getting pretty wild in Sydney, and I just decided to leave. I just decided to fully just like sever the tie that I had without any fears or like what's gonna happen
mm,
if I don't do this? How am I gonna make myself into something else now? I let all those fears go and those worries and doubts, and I just trusted what I had become and the tools that I developed and found along my journey, and yeah,
mm.
I moved up here to Byron area, Mullumbimby, and where one move ends, another begins, and I ran into one of the best freestyle dancers I would say in Australia. Um,
So you would
and
you would say that you like, yeah.
I'm just saying that I thought me leaving, I'm gonna, have to like really, I'm gonna struggle, and there was a bit of struggle, but
Right, right,
what I left, what I walked into were, I walked
right,
into like almost like magic. I walked into a friend
right.
who kind of knew people I knew, but he also was outside of that industry as well, and he was more in
Uh-huh,
the
uh-huh.
dance battle scene, and I just
Mm.
started dancing with him on the street, outside of dance
Right,
schools, outside of
right.
the industry. And I just started dancing and remembering how I started, which was for me, dancing for me and nobody
Yeah.
else. Get to such
I feel like
a place.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going
When
to
you
say
get,
like it sounds like you, yeah.
no, I
Go, go.
go.
No, I was gonna say like it sounds like it's evolved. It's like your identity has kind of evolved into this other new form of dance, which is now you're freestyling,
Yeah, but I don't have
and this is your
identity anymore. I'm
this
not
isn't. But you say
identifying
so
with.
you don't think, fine,
I'm just free. I'm just
you
free flowing,
yeah,
being like it's kind of like when you look
gotcha,
out the
right,
window, and look at the birds flying and building nests and getting food. They're not identifying with being a bird. They're just doing what they do. So I
true.
felt like I got out of what I say is the fishbowl. The city is like a fishbowl,
I
and I got
see.
back in the ocean. And when you're in the ocean, you can find your flow. You're just there. You're there in your essence, and when you get to a place of strength within your own self, and you understand why you're doing what you do, and feeling good, doing it more about feeling good while you're doing it, you
Yeah.
start to attract what you may desire, and you don't have to chase it
Mm,
anymore. So like
mm,
even you recognizing that, like I'm not doing it because I want you to recognize it, but that's what's happening, and many other people are recognizing, some of the boys who've been doing hip-hop and freestyling their whole life are going, hey, this guy's actually, he's meeting me now. He's like getting close up to where I am, or even past me, and I go, that's not what
mm.
I'm doing it for. But now I don't have any
Oh shit.
specific way I have to do it. I don't have any specific perspective on how I'm doing it. I'm just doing it without
Yeah.
any expectation or any like worry, doubt, or yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think this is why like it's so strange when we talk about this stuff about your dancing. It's because we never because I don't feel like I've really like known you as like the dancer. You know what I mean? Like, um, so yeah, I kind of hear what you're saying, bro. Yeah, we definitely I think have found other ways to sort of relate with ourselves. Um, but I think the reason why I had such a hard time too is because I felt so disconnected from my body, bro. That was the scariest part. You're so familiar with that, and then I don't know. Um, yeah, to not be able to do it, it made me want to do it even more. And then now I feel like I can maybe do it again. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't know,
Well,
just figuring
there's doubt,
out what to do
there's doubt,
next. But
if there's doubt, it's harder to take that leap of faith. Like if I know, it's like
mm,
running off a cliff. If I know there's rocks at the bottom in a specific spot,
yeah,
I'm jump off and make sure I land in the spot where there's no rocks at the bottom. You
yeah,
know, jumping
yeah,
off a cliff, water. Um, but
for sure.
if I know there's no rocks there, hit anything, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna go for it. And that's kind of what it
Yeah.
was for this dance freestyle thing, and like transitioning, and like, you know, and because now we're creating a full
Mm,
like little dance community up here, and people are
mm,
feeding off that, and like we're getting random gigs and not even trying to, you know what I mean?
yeah.
uh and I just
I
in I jumped in. I didn't think, because like sometimes if there's no detrimental thing that can happen to you, what's the worst that can happen? You might as well just take that leap. Like,
No, I agree 100% with you. I think what you've inspired me, bro, and you've motivated me to know that it isn't too late ever. And there was another dancer who did that for me, bro. Was freaking Charlie Bartley, man. I remember it was like 20, what was it, 27 or something, 28 or whatever it was, that he went over to LA and he just went like this, boof, and then like became this crazy dancer. And I remember when he came back, dude, I was like, bro, how? I was like, how did you do it? Because I was like, I thought we all stopped like peak. We hit a peak, and he was just like, I'll never forget. He was just like, I just had to become a better dancer. Like he just, just tapped into this new form, and I went, whoa. I was like, I didn't even know, man. So like, you've done that, and you've inspired me, bro. Yeah, but hey, look, I got 9% on my laptop, and I'm scared my phone camera is gonna die because I heard that on this app. Once if it cuts out, you lose the whole you
yeah,
lose
right.
the whole thing. So I kind of want to be safe, but I'm like, I don't think I
Well,
can check my. Hang on, let me just check my.
can you just plug your phone in?
Okay, now
Mine's
I've got
just
a bit of juice left on my phone. Nah, because I've got my I've got my microphone in my phone, so I don't know, man. I had this the first time setting it up, so um,
that's all right. But you can
I
just
didn't really
run
think
it.
this through because I feel like we could keep chatting, bro, about like so many other aspects to this stuff because there's a whole spiritual aspect to this as well, and I think that's where you and I vibe a
Well,
lot is just it's the whole energy of this whole space, man. And there's a lot of forces out there that I think that if you sort of learn to sort of like kind of stick with the same vibe, it can take you places. You know what I mean? At the same time, too, it's taken me to the wrong places as well, man. And you know, maybe that's like a conversation we can say for another time. Is like just maybe talking about a little bit more of
yeah,
like the darker elements to the industry because there is, man, there is definitely dark elements to the industry, um, and yeah, man, you can definitely get lost in it. I did. I got lost in it, man. I got wrapped up in it. But I think we should probably definitely save that because I want to save this pod. We've been going for it's an hour and 30 right now, man. Um,
yeah.
but
Part
Rich,
two.
bro, you are officially the first guest guest of honor for this pod, and just as we like say, sort of wrap it up here. Is there anything that you want to plug, bro? Like, have you got any kind of like? Is there any competitions, any sort of things happening in the creative space happening at the moment, man, where you are that you want to sort of
Um,
just give a mention
Not
or
necessarily competition, but me and a few people here in Rivers, we created a little group called For the Locals. F
say
O
that again
R
for the locals?
T A E L O C A L S AU, For the
I'll make sure
Locals.
to leave
And
that. Okay,
this group is, just creating dance culture from a street element rather than from a dance school and technical and commercial way of dancing. It's yeah, it's for the locals. That's the name. Like we do things from a local standpoint versus a commercial standpoint, and you'd be surprised how
gotcha.
much inspiration, motivation, and drive you have when you do it from that level versus the business level.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
so
mm.
yeah, we explore all styles, and at the moment we're exploring crump. Crump's a great way to be very expressive, and a
Mm,
lot of these forms were very, very popular, and
yeah.
there's just waves when it comes to like what's in the now and what's popular and what's not popular, and
Uh huh.
we just do it because it makes us feel good, and that's why we're doing it. But yeah, you can find us on
Amazing.
Instagram if you wanna uh, sort of follow that journey. It's only small now, and yeah, like my Instagram, I used to post lots of tap videos, but now I'm posting way more freestyle, experimental, waving, popping,
And
crumb. Yeah,
also too, bro, you're also doing you're a qualified massage therapist. You've got your bizo running up there as well. I feel like any kind of therapy that I've had from someone who is as tuned in their body, has always been like a really great what do you call it therapy, and has been help. I always find the best sessions from people who really understand their body well. So yeah, you I'll leave a link as well for your massage for anyone who wants to get in touch and get them kinks rubbed out, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You get all freaking tight and
yeah. No,
but anyways, hey Rich, dude, like yeah,
no. I'm just gonna say,
say
yeah, I
what are
had
you
to
gonna say?
switch to doing sort of physiotherapy, massage, remedial massage, that type of work, um,
Yeah.
parallel to dance, and I do that more full time now. But
Mm.
coming from that dance background, it has been able to help me really succeed and progress in this massage field as being
Uh-huh.
coming from an embodied state and understanding my own body and kinks and trigger points and whatnot and exploring my own self through my years of dance. I know now the
Mm-hmm.
body so well. Um, and that's called nomadic
Mm-hmm.
hands. But yeah,
Nomadic hands, yep.
thank you for having me, bro.
I'll leave a
And
link then,
yeah, it's
brother.
glad that what I'm doing is emanating out and helping other people realize that yeah, it is never too late to start anything. And we get stuck in what we've been taught. We get stuck in old age mentality. We get stuck in, uh, you know, just being being what we think we should be versus what we feel we should be. And I always go back to Peter
Yeah.
Pan, bro. And like I used to think I was gonna live forever,
Mm.
and you know, when I when you get stuck in your reflection in the mirror, you lose that feeling. You lose that kid like feeling
Mm.
because you start to become who you see in the mirror, and through a series of events, that reflection, that mirrored reflection, has shattered, and I'll never get stuck in that mirror again. I'll never get stuck in that reflection,
Mm.
and I have remembered that based on what you were saying, the whole spiritual energy sort of vibe. We do live for a long time. For
Mm.
for forever in my mind. And I'd rather live in that feeling state than become an old man who becomes kinked and, stuck. So it
Amazing.
all comes down to perspective and belief in how you see yourself. And if you see yourself as the person in the mirror, that's what you're going to be. But if you see yourself as what is fueling this body, the energy, then that's what you can become. And that's what I'm fueled off
Amazing.
of, is
Well,
what I feel.
brother, thank you so much, man, for all of your knowledge, insight, wisdom, and I hope there are people out there who can, really, I guess, learn, and create their own path the way that they intend to. So thank you, bro. God bless, and thanks again for being the first guest. And here's to many more, bro. Amazing. Thank you very much. I see you,
Let's
bro.
go,
I'm just going to
brother.
put this on pause right now. I'm just going to go
Yeah.
leave. All right. Or stop. Maybe I'll press stop.